It's Friday, and we are about a week into our shelter-in-place order here in St. Louis. And for longer than a week, I have wanted to talk about boundaries with technology. And this is where personal experience meets public wisdom. I noticed in myself probably 2, maybe 3 weeks ago that I was on my phone more than I had ever been before for the purpose of gathering information, figuring out what's going on globally, nationally, in my city, in my neighborhood. And when I refreshed my screen for an obscene number of times in just less than an hour, I realized that my hunger for information, though good in its beginning, ended up kind of taking over my life. And instead of using a break in the day that I had to rejuvenate and refresh and stand up and walk around, I was using my break to figure out what's the latest thing that happened in the last 30 minutes or in the last hour. And I realized that's not how I want to live. Technology is our window to the outside world in every way. The newscast that is on the television, the snippets that you hear on the radio, the articles online, the websites that are publishing numbers, social media, how people are handling it. Just everywhere we are connected, and it's a great time to experience a pandemic because we can connect, so that social distancing doesn't mean social isolation. But we can also overconnect in this season. We can send way too many text messages. We can be on our emails way too long. We can be scouring the interwebs for way longer than we need to. And so I want to engage you in a conversation about boundaries with technology. And the natural place to start is why. Not why have the boundaries, but essentially why have the boundaries. Why are you doing the thing that you're doing with the technology that you have? Why are you turning on that newscast right now? Why are you, looking at social media, that particular social media? Why are you going to that website? And if you can answer the why of what you're doing, it'll help you answer the other 4 questions to create boundaries and set them and then live by them in this season of really strong connectedness to things with cords. So why? Why was I refreshing the screen a million times throughout the day to get the latest numbers as they crept up both in my city but also in my country? It started out innocently enough. I wanted to be informed. Pretty good reason why. We don't want to be like ostriches and stick our head in the sand and just pretend like this whole pandemic's not happening. That's not really helpful either. So it's good to be informed. It's good to know how the numbers are going up or going down in your neighborhood. But there are limits to that, right? And how informed you choose to be is going to be dependent on your why and on your personality. So if you know that you tend toward getting really nervous and anxious, then maybe the need for those numbers declines a lot because the numbers might actually fuel that anxiety. But if you're a little more nonchalant, maybe you want to just have regular check-ins with those numbers just to know what's going on and to be aware as you make decisions for your day, even with a shelter-in-place order. Do I decide to go to the grocery store at this time? Do I decide to work from home versus work from the office? It can really help inform your decisions. For me, that's not what it was about. It started out that way. And then it just became this obsessive, I want to know, almost even mathematically. Like I seriously started picking up a pencil to try to figure out exponential equations and what it would look like. A little bit of geekiness there, but I really loved math when I was a kid. And And so I was kind of excited about figuring all of that out, but then the why of why I wanted to figure it out was just to figure it out, was just to know what the potential was, what the scenario was, when in reality we can't really know that completely. We can make educated guesses, and that's not my field. And so I answered for myself that the why is I want to know what's going on to be wise as I make decisions about my present day and about my future. But I don't want to know so much that all I can think of is numbers and information. I don't want to know so much that, certain newscasts and just hearing so many opinions and politics around it, that wasn't helpful for me. It stirred up my heart in a way that I didn't enjoy it being stirred up. And so that's how I began the journey to create boundaries around technology for me. So let's get into that. As you answer your why, you have to do that first. Then you get into the 4 other questions that will help you kind of create the 4 walls around your boundaries. So that is the what, the where, when, and how long. So what are you wanting from a particular piece of technology? When you pick up your phone, what do you want? What are you hoping for? When you turn on the television, what is it that you're wanting to get out of it? When you open your laptop, what is it that you are doing that for? Is it just out of habit? For a lot of us, the answer is going to be yes. It's just out of habit. The phone's right there. Just pick it up, open the latest thing, and just see what's new, right? But as you discern what type of information you want to get or you want to give, and that includes time with friends and family through different platforms like Zoom or Skype or something like that, what are you wanting to get? Are you just meeting with friends and family because you feel like you should? Or because you actually want to engage with them, you want to spend quality time with them? Or are you doing it because you just don't want to be alone? There's a difference in doing it because I don't want to be alone, and a difference in saying I actually want to connect with this person. That doesn't make it right or wrong either way, but as you know for yourself, like, what is it that I'm seeking in this moment, that helps you discern the next 3 questions, which is where. If you want connection with people, the what, then where are you going to do it? My advice to you, I know they say counselors don't really give advice, but I'm giving advice right now, is to try to maintain 1 or maybe 2 platforms through which you communicate with people. I learned this the hard way. There were so many different options. You have Google Hangouts and Skype and Zoom and VC and, just a million different options. WhatsApp and FaceTime. And when you are already in a season of everything's different and new, to try to learn how to navigate all these different connection venues only adds to the sense of overwhelm. So pick 1 or 2 and try to stick with that. I know it gets complicated because maybe the person you're speaking with picked 1 or 2 that are not yours. But as much as possible, try to negotiate that with one another so that you're familiarizing yourself with one platform, you have everything in one space, and that just frees up a little bit of brain space for you in this season. What news channel where are you going to look for your news? Is it on the television? Is it on particular websites? Are you going to watch particular shows or newscasts? And discerning, you can change this, right? So you can say, I'm going to watch the 5 o'clock news and see what the latest updates are. But then you realize the 5 o'clock news there's something you don't like about it, or the way that the announcers are bothers you or something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking of this stuff on the top of my head. You can change the where. but stay true to kind of limiting where you're getting a bunch of information from so that you're not driving yourself in circles trying to, figure out, like I did. Okay, I at one point had my State Department website open, and then the numbers hadn't really changed there for me, and so then I went to the CDC website and it looked a little different, so then I went to the WHO website, and it just I needed to just pick one place. That's where I was going to get my information for numbers and stick to it. Same with social media. Which social media platforms are you wanting to focus in on right now? Are there ones that are more helpful than others? Are there ones that, emphasize or amplify certain emotions? Recognizing that with social media, if you are looking at what looks like everyone just having a jolly old time during the pandemic shelter-in-place order, and you're not having a jolly old time, then maybe that's not a good time for you to be engaging with that particular social media site, whether that's Instagram or Facebook or whatever else. There's a million out there. You know what works for you. The next thing is when. So when is different than how long. When, in terms of what time of day, do you want to be collecting news, associating with different people in your spheres of influence, whether that's work or connecting with friends or family? When is good for you? So again, I'm going to relate this back to my experience of it, and I realized first thing in the morning and last thing at night were not the times that I wanted to be figuring out the numbers for my area. Were not the times that I wanted to be, especially late at night, on my phone, on my computer, watching TV, because that blue light, research has shown us, kind of alters our body's natural mechanisms for producing melatonin. And so I don't want to be using technology, an hour to 2 hours before bed. I struggle with that. Not great at it, but I'm trying. That's kind of the point, is you don't have to be perfect at it, but when you have your own boundaries set up, it helps you get there better. And then early in the morning, that's not how I want to start my day with, is the world ending today? I wanted to start my day slowly and kind of ramp up into that. So I chose, for news information gathering, I chose to do it midday. That's my one time a day check-in so that I stay informed as a person living in this world, not sticking my head in the sand, but also it was a good time where I had stuff on either end of that where that didn't dominate my thoughts going into the day or my thoughts going to sleep. Social media, also figuring out when is that most helpful for me to check in on social media. Maybe it's not most helpful when you've said, I'm going to work from, 9 to 5 from my computer doing social media, and that time's not helpful, but a social media break would be great, as I'm relaxing, right after work or before dinner or something like that. When am I going to watch the news? When am I going to connect with friends? Rather than leaving it wide open, giving yourself kind of scheduled times to connect with people can again help reduce that sense of everything's different all at once. Again, you have this whole other person or people when you are scheduling that, and so it might not always fit perfectly, but if you have some control over that, it's great to kind of create routine and structure for yourself. And then finally, how long? How long am I going to be looking at a certain website, and how long am I going to listen to the newscast? How long am I going to browse social media? How long am I going to spend in a virtual hangout with friends? There's flexibility. I always want to say that with all of this, there's flexibility. But if you have some general boundaries, it kind of helps guide you through the process. The last thing I'll say is that there is a mindfulness exercise, and it's particularly for social media. It's not mine. It was written by a guy named Christopher Willard, who's big in the mindfulness world. And I'm actually going to link it in the description to this video so you can go check it out. But it's connected specifically to social media, but I think it can be used in any type of technology that you find yourself kind of overwhelmed by, to figure out, and it can help you figure out the why, which is why I really like it a lot. So check it out, and I hope this is helpful as you create boundaries for yourself, and know that I'm doing it right alongside you. Have a great day.